Welcome fifth graders. Welcome to Kootenai County Fire and Rescue Classroom. We're down here at the Joe Delafield Training Center and I wanted to show you our classroom because just like you guys, we have to spend a lot of time in school as firefighters. In fact, we have to spend 240 hours a year on a minimum of doing training. And so we spend a fair amount of time in the classroom, and just like you guys, we got to attempt to be on our best behavior. Now, I know things are a little different this year. I've got my crew in here to give me somebody to talk to because this is my first time trying the virtual thing, so you're gonna have to bear with us as we give this a try. But I got my crew in here, and unfortunately, firefighter Kaplan says he's got a face for radio, so we're not gonna put the camera on them. Now, as fifth graders, we got quite a few things that we got to talk to today. We're going to do a review over what we learned in third grade presentations. We're going to find out how good of a teacher I was in third grade for you. Then we're going to talk about what to do if your clothes catch on fire. All right, so as fifth graders, you guys are a little bit older. I believe I can talk to you guys a little bit more like adults. Is that fair? Now, have you guys ever heard of this thing called peer pressure? Raise your hand if you've ever heard of peer pressure. Now, what I want you to do is quickly write down on that outline that you've got, I want you to write down your definition of peer pressure, okay? And if you haven't already experienced peer pressure, you're getting ready to go into middle school, and it's probably gonna be something you're going to face in the somewhat near future. So, you need to always remember, even in the face of peer pressure, when others are trying to get you to do stuff, and you're like, I know I shouldn't do this, you have to always do what is right, even when it's hard. You gotta do what is right, even when it's hard. So fifth graders, before we get into telling you this story that I've gotta share with you, I need to collect some data. You know what data is? Right, it's information. So what I need you to do, and this is just something for you to do in the classroom with your teachers in here. I can't see you obviously, but I want you to raise your hand, and remember, I'm a firefighter. Your teachers aren't gonna get you in trouble. I'm not gonna get you in trouble. I just want honesty. So I want you to raise your hand if you have ever used lighters, matches, or any other fire starting device at all. Any of those three things. Raise your hand. How many of you? Okay, put your hands down. Now, I want you to raise your hand again if you have ever used lighters, matches, or any other fire starting device without an adult around. Raise your hand. Now, if you are anything like any other fifth grade class that I've ever given this presentation to, roughly 30% of you, roughly a third of you, raised your hand saying that you used lighters, matches, or any other fire starting device without parents around, without an adult around. This creates a problem. Your age group is the most at-risk age group for playing with fire. Now, you should never ever play with fire. I want to make sure you understand that. You should never ever play with fire. But I would like to tell you a story about a fifth grade girl here in the area, and here's the story. Time out. All right, fifth graders, now I need you to look at your outline, and I want you to answer questions 1, 2, and 3 on your outline. Now, if you need extra time to fill these out, go ahead and press the pause button now. Otherwise, the video is going to start again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Game on! Now, I want to tell you a story about a fifth grader, okay? And she experienced a little bit of peer pressure. She her friends came to her house, and they were in the backyard playing, and one of her friends brought a little book of matches, the little old kind that's got the wood sticks. And they were playing in the backyard, and one of the friends said, hey, let's build a little small fire, we'll put it out, no big deal. And this little girl, she knew that she shouldn't do this. She's been taught never to play with fire. And her parents were up in the house, just doing chores around the house, not really watching the girls. And the girls, I'm not gonna be friends with you if you don't do this with us. We're gonna go do something else. We're gonna leave. So they started putting peer pressure on her. And unfortunately, she ended up giving in. Now, their friends, they made a little tiny pile of pine needles and leaves, and they struck a match and started this little fire, right? And then they put it out, no harm, no foul. Then they said, well, that was fun, let's try it again. They built a little bit bigger fire, put that one out, no harm, no foul. Unfortunately for her, third time was not a charm. This time they made it a little bit bigger, and they lit the fire, and this girl was wearing a longer dress that day, and she got a little bit too close and wasn't really paying attention. She was talking with a friend, and the fire caught her dress on fire, okay? That's a little scary situation. Could you imagine if your clothes caught fire? So, if your clothes catch fire, I'm gonna send it over to firefighter Tony, and he's gonna teach you with his son Luke what to do if your clothes catch fire. Now, you've heard it said, or most people have heard it said, of stop, drop, and roll, okay? But we're gonna talk about something a little bit different called stop, drop, and rock if only one side of your body's on fire. Now, we talked about 3 things are required to make fire. First, you need heat. Second, you need oxygen. And third, you need fuel. Well, stop, drop, and roll, or stop, drop, and rock, are designed to remove one part of those 3. And if one of those 3 goes away, the fire goes out. So, I brought Christian with me because I'm going to use him to demonstrate. Now, we're going to pretend that this little drain over here is a campfire. And we're going to go ahead and keep our hands nice and warm. It's cold outside. We got a big fire. And then, our backsides get cold too. So we're going to turn around and we're going to heat up our backside. We're going to get nice and close. And then, we're just not paying attention, talking. And then all of a sudden, whoa! We caught our tushes on fire. So let's pretend Christian has a fire on his backside. That's highly unfortunate, I know. Now, if that's the case, you need to step away from the fire first. And if we remember the rules, and you've always heard it, stop, drop, and roll, let me talk to you about why that's not always the best idea. So, if you remember the rules, stop, drop, and roll. Go ahead, stop, drop, roll. Stop, stay. Now, the point of stop, drop, and roll is to remove one of those 3 things. Okay, roll over, stop, stay, play dead. Okay, now, if he's on his backside where that fire is, which one of those 3 things did we take away? You're right, we took away the oxygen. So we are basically smothering the fire because we're taking away the oxygen, which means the fire goes away. Now, roll over, stay. If we do stop, drop, and roll, when the fire's only on one side of the body, what did he re-expose his backside to? You're right, he re-exposed it to oxygen, and if a fire gets oxygen, what does fire do? It gets bigger. Roll over, stay. Fire goes down, roll over, stay. Fire goes up, roll over. Okay, you kind of get the idea, right? I was just really enjoying making Christian roll over and play dead. All right, so stand up. Okay, so we're going to go back to this fire. We're warming our hands. It's nice and warm. We're going to turn around. We're going to warm our tushes. Whoa! We got a little too close. So, if you have fire on one side of your body, it might be better to do stop, drop, and rock. So, if you've got fire on your backside, you're going to stop, drop, and then all I want you to do is rock back and forth to keep his tush on the ground because we're trying to take that oxygen away from the fire. So, what your job is that if your clothes catch on fire, okay? If your clothes catch on fire, you need to remove the oxygen from the fire. So if it's on one side, you can stop, drop, and rock. That'll help the fire go out a lot quicker. If it's on both sides of your body, then go ahead and do stop, drop, and roll, or get a blanket, and if you cover the fire with a blanket and kind of pat it out, that will also remove the oxygen. So you need to think a little bit with your fire safety, and if you remember which 3 things are required to make fire, which are heat, oxygen, and fuel, If you can remove one of those things, the fire will go away. So if you can remove the oxygen, remove the oxygen. If you can remove the heat with water, remove the heat. Okay? Sometimes it's pretty hard to remove the fuel, but sometimes that's even an option as well. So remember, if your clothes are on fire, if it's one side, stop, drop, and rock. If it's on both sides, I want you to stop, drop, and roll. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to send it back to Firefighter Tony. Have a great day. All right. Thank you, Firefighter Tony. Now, we got to finish the story that we started before about the little girl whose dress caught on fire. Now, she was scared, okay? And she knew about stop, drop, and roll, stop, drop, and rock. But in the moment, she got scared. She could see her parents up in the house, or knew her parents were up in the house, and she knew that's where help was. And you can't fault her for doing this, but unfortunately, instead of stop, drop, and rock, she started running to the house. Now, we've talked about in 3rd grade that there are 3 things required to make fire. You needed fuel, you need heat, and you need oxygen. Well, were all 3 present for her? Absolutely. She had fuel of the dress, she had heat from the match, and there was oxygen. She was outside. So all 3 were present. Now, instead of stop, drop, and rock, which will take away the oxygen, fire goes away. Instead of doing that, she got scared and ran up to her parents. Well, what happens when you run? Are you giving that fire more oxygen, or are you giving it less oxygen? You're right, you're giving it more oxygen. So as she started to run, that fire got bigger and hotter and bigger and hotter. And by the time she got to her parents and they put a blanket on her and snuffed out the fire, she had sustained 2nd and 3rd degree burns pretty much from her calves all the way up to about her chest. And unfortunately, burns are one of the worst injuries that you can sustain. Imagine the amount of pain not only that she experienced that day, but throughout the rest of her life. And a lot of it was just because she gave in to peer pressure. So in the future, I hope and pray that you never, ever, ever play with fire. However, our statistics show us that that is something that a lot of kids your age do. Time out. All right, 5th graders, back to your outline. This time you're going to answer questions 4 and 5. If you need extra time to answer them, hit the pause button now. Otherwise, the video is going to start again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Game on!
All right, so let's go back and let's continue that story about the 3rd grader and the coloring. Now, we had all 3 things present for fire, right? And fire went up. What does fire make? Fire makes smoke. And so the fire creates the smoke starts to go up. Why does smoke go up? Right, fire is hot and so is the smoke that comes off of it. So in a room, fire will start down close to the ground. It produces smoke. The smoke starts to go up towards the ceiling, and it's going to hit the ceiling, and it's actually going to start to fill the room from the top down. It's like an upside down glass of water. You fill water at home all the time. You turn the faucet on, put the water underneath it or the glass underneath it, and the water starts to fill up from the bottom up. A fire is no different except for it's upside down. So the smoke goes up, hits the ceiling, goes across the ceiling, and then starts to fill the room from the top down. Now, what do we have in our house that can protect us? Right, we have smoke alarms. They're these funny little white things that sit up on the ceiling. Now, we need to have smoke alarms in every room, outside of every sleeping area, and on every level of the home in order to protect us completely. Now, the 3rd grader definitely had a smoke alarm up on the ceiling. The smoke from the fire went up the wall, hit the ceiling, and it hit this smoke alarm. Now, smoke alarms, their job is to be a giant sniffer. Well, where's your sniffer? It's right here. Okay, so we're gonna do a little experiment. What I want you to do is when I say go, I want you to take the biggest, most giantest sniff ever and hold it as long as you possibly can. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Hold it, keep holding it, hold it. Okay, let it out. Good job. Now that you have clean airways, let's talk about why that is important. Smoke alarms sniff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time, never take a break. You took the biggest sniff you possibly could and only lasted maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds. So, smoke alarms sniff for smoke. Fire makes smoke, smoke goes up the wall, hits the smoke alarm, and if that happens, it's gonna make it go beep, beep, beep. It's gonna sound something like this. Here we go. Now, if you hear that sound, you have 2 jobs. Your job is to get out and stay out. If your smoke alarm goes beep, 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 your job is to get out and stay out. Can you say it with me? Get out and stay out. Now I want you to say it loud enough that the classroom next door can hear you. Get out and stay out. Sorry teachers, that's my fault. Now, if your smoke alarm goes beep, 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 your job is to get out and stay out. And I'm going to turn it over to firefighter Tony and his son Luke to teach you how to do that correctly.
Thank you, Firefighter Tony. Well, Firefighter Tony is here at my own home with my son Luke. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what to do if your smoke alarms start to go beep, beep, beep. You've got to know what to do in a very big hurry, but remember, we want to do what is right, even if it's hard. So, you ready, Luke? Here we go. Ready? Go to sleep. You got to quit laughing. Okay, go to sleep, stay. Now, if Luke's asleep in the middle of the night and his smoke alarms start to sound like this, maybe, here we go. All right, so smoke alarms are going off. He's got 2 jobs. His job is to get out and stay out. Now, first thing is he's got to get low and stay under the smoke. Ready, Luke? Get up, get low on your hands and knees, and first place he's going to go is to his door. So Luke's going to crawl to his door, and then he's going to feel it first, because we don't want to just fling that door open, right? So he's going to reach out and feel it with the back of his hand. If it's nice and cool, then Luke's going to peek to make sure that there's no fire between him and the fastest way out of his house, and then he's going to stay low under the smoke and crawl all the way to the fastest place out of his house, yelling, "Fire!
Fire! Fire! Fire!"
So in this case, Luke's fastest way out of the house is actually out the back door. Now, it's raining outside, so I'm not actually going to make him go outside. So good job, Luke. You ready to go back? All right, Luke, come. Let's go. All right, so Luke is going to get back into his room, and he's going to go back to bed, because now we've got to talk about scenario number 2. All right, for scenario number 2, same rules. Ready? Go to sleep, stay. Smoke alarm's going to go beep, beep, beep. It's going to sound something like this. Anytime our smoke alarms are going off, we have 2 jobs. Our job is to get out and stay out. So Luke's gonna wake up, he's gonna stay low because clean air's down here, smoke is up here. He's gonna crawl to the door. What does he do first time he gets to the door? You're right, he's gonna reach out and feel it. Go ahead, feel it. Ouch, this time it's hot. Well, if the door is hot, do we wanna just check outside to see if there's a fire on the other side? No, we know there's a fire on the other side. So this time, we cannot open the door, but we want to make sure we keep as little smoke coming into our room as possible. So Luke's going to take that blanket that he forgot to put away. This is the one time it's okay to not clean your room, kids. So he's going to grab the blanket and he's going to stuff it at the bottom of the door the best that he can to keep smoke from coming in his room. Now, that's a good job. Now, once he has it there, we've got to figure out how else can we get out of the room. If you can't go out your door, what's another place that he can go? You're right, the window. Now, does he want to get up and walk, or should he stay low? You're right, he should stay low. So Luke's going to crawl all the way to the window. Now, if he lives on the first floor like he does, his bedroom right now is on the first floor, and it's safe to go out his window, then he's going to open his window, he's going to bust out the screen, and then he's going to jump out the window and go to his family's meeting place. Now, my boys know that if we have a fire at our house, go ahead and leave it open, buddy. Go ahead and go back to bed. Go to bed. Stay. Now, my boys know that if we have a fire in our house and they go out the backyard, our family meeting place is in the big tree in the corner of the yard, because there's not really enough space to sneak by the house to get out to the front if our house is truly on fire. So they're going to wait by the big tree in the backyard. If they go out the front door, Luke, where's our meeting place? The mailbox. So they know if they go out the front door, their job is to meet us at the mailbox. So you and your family have to come up with your own meeting place. This is something you need to discuss before the emergency actually happens. All right, so now we got to do scenario number 3. All right, you ready, Luke? Go to sleep. Stay. Now, for scenario number 3, same thing. Middle of the night, Luke's sleeping, smoke alarm starts to go beep, beep, beep. And anytime our smoke alarm goes beep, 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 we have 2 jobs. Our job is to get out and stay out. So Luke's gonna wake up, he's gonna get out of bed, he's gonna stay low on his hands and knees to stay in the fresh air, out of the smoke. He's gonna crawl to the door, and then when he gets to the door, first thing that we do is he reaches out to feel it. Ouch, it's hot. Once it's hot, we know we can't go out that door. There's a fire on the other side. So we want to keep as little smoke as possible coming into the room. So he's going to take that blanket that he didn't clean up, he's going to stuff it under the door. Now, if he can't go out his door, what's the next place we try? The window. So to get to the window, Luke's going to stay low under the smoke. He's going to crawl to the window. Go, go, go. He's going to crawl to the window. Now, for scenario number 3, we're going to pretend that we live on the 3rd floor, or it's just unsafe for him to go out the window. Like there's a bunch of spikes under the window. I don't know why there'd be spikes. This is my story. You're just listening to it. Now, it's unsafe for him to go out this window. So if he can't go out his door and he can't go out his window, is he kind of stuck? Yeah, he's kind of stuck. And it's going to be a little bit scary. But as long as we do what is right, even though it's hard, that can make us a hero in this situation. Now, if you can't go out your door and you can't go out your window, Firefighter Tony's going to tell you to stay right under the window, or at least as close to the window as you can get against the outside wall. Now, the reason why I want you to do that is because if we show up as firefighters to your house and somebody meets us in the driveway and they say, my son or daughter is stuck up there in that window, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get a ladder, we're going to throw it to that window, we're going to crawl up the ladder, open the window, and if you listen to Firefighter Tony, where are we going to find you? Right under the window. We just pick you up and we gone. We don't even have to come in and find you. So, if you can't go out your door and you can't go out your window, where should we find you? Right under the window, or as close to the window as we can get. Now, when you're under the window, I want you to stay nice and low, because what's down here? Clean air. What's up here? Smoke. Now, Luke is doing a really good thing. He's got his flashlight and he's going to be flashing it into the window. If you have a flashlight or lights or some way to make a lot of noise or just yell, help! However you need to do it, just make as big of noise or a visual ruckus as you can so that we know that you're there. And then we're going to come get you. You can go ahead and turn it off now. Well done, kid. Turn it off. Okay, now, if your house is on fire, your smoke alarms are going off, you have 2 jobs. Your job is to get out and stay out. Now, you need to make sure you have that family meeting place, right? My boys know to go to the tree in the backyard. or in the front yard, they go to the mailbox. You and your family have to make that decision for yourselves. Now, we have one rule if your house is on fire. One rule. And that rule is that you can never, ever, 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 ever hide. You can never hide. You can't hide in your closet. You can't hide under the bed. And you surely should not hide in your fish tank. Okay? So if your house is on fire, your smoke alarms are going off, your job is to get out and stay out as long as you can do it safely. And if you can't go out your door and you can't go out your window, then we should find you right under the window or as close to it as you can get. So I'm going to send it back to Firefighter Tony right now, and thank you for learning what to do when your smoke alarms are going beep, beep, beep. Timeout. All right, fifth graders, back to your outline. Answer questions number 6 and 7. If you need extra time, press pause now. Otherwise, it's going to start again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Game on! Thank you, Firefighter Tony. Well, we're here at my own personal home, and I want to take a second and talk to you about your smoke alarms. We talked to you about what to do on how to get out of your room if your smoke alarms are going beep, beep, beep. But now let's talk about how to make sure those smoke alarms are going to work. Smoke alarms will only work if they have what? Power, right? So we have a few different things that we need to talk about first. Let's talk about the batteries. So batteries have to be changed 2 times a year. How many times a year? 2 times a year. Now, the easy way that we remember it is that if you change your clocks, you change your batteries. You change your clocks, you change your batteries. That works out great because we change our clocks 2 times a year, and in fact, we're coming up on that here in the very near future this fall. Now, I want you to say it with me. If you change your clocks, you change your batteries. Change your clocks, change your batteries. Clocks, batteries. Clocks, batteries. Clocks, batteries. Clocks. Gotcha, you couldn't keep up. So, if you change your clocks, you change your batteries. So I want to show you on my smoke alarm where the batteries are located, okay? So you're going to have your parents, you get a step ladder or a ladder, and they come up and you're going to open up in here and you're going to pull out the little battery that's on the inside. Now, some smoke alarms have what's called a 10-year lithium battery, okay? And if they have the 10-year lithium battery, there is no place to put any small batteries like a 9-volt, or some smoke alarms have AA's in them. Now, if it does have a place for a battery, you need to change them how many times a year? 2 times a year. If you change your clocks, you change your batteries, okay? So you've got to do that. Now, smoke alarms also are only good for a certain amount of time. There's this thing called expiration. Do you know what it means to expire? What does it mean to expire? I want you to raise your hand and tell your teacher what you think it means to expire. Now, expire means it goes bad. It's kind of like the grilled cheese sandwich that you put inside a Tupperware and left in the back of the refrigerator for 6 months. It's green, it's pretty much a science experiment now. That grilled cheese is expired. It has gone bad. Well, your smoke alarms also go bad. Smoke alarms are only good for 10 years. 10 years. Show me with your hands. 10 years. Smoke alarms expire after 10 years. Well, that's awesome as long as you know what's the birthday of your smoke alarm. Did you know your smoke alarms have a birthday? I'm going to teach you how to find the birthday. Now, first thing I got to do is I got to take the smoke alarm off the ceiling. Some smoke alarms are going to have wires in the back, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to disconnect it from my system. Now, on the back of your smoke alarm, you will find the birthday of your smoke alarm. Mine was born in 2012. Well, how many years are smoke alarms good for? Smoke alarms are good for 10 years. So 2012 plus 10 is 2022. This smoke alarm is good until 2022. At that point, I need to throw it away and get a new one. If you take your smoke alarm off the ceiling and you find out that yours was born anytime before 2010, you need to throw yours away and get a new one. Okay, smoke alarms are only good for 10 years. Now, let's talk about the wires in the back. If you noticed, mine has wires and it's connected to all the other smoke alarms in my house. Do I still need to change the batteries in this? Absolutely. It's got a place for batteries, so I need to replace them. Some people get confused and they think that the wires in this means that it's a hardwired smoke alarm and you don't have to change the batteries. That is incorrect. One of the first things that's going to go out in a structure fire, or even some of the reasons structure fires happen, is the electricity in the house. So if the power goes out and you have not changed your batteries, is this thing going to work? Absolutely not. So even if there's wires, if there's a place for you to change the battery, you need to change the battery. Okay? So how long are smoke alarms good for? Smoke alarms are good for 10 years. How many times a year do we change the batteries? 2 times a year. If you change your clocks, you change your batteries. Okay? Now, I'm going to send it back over to Firefighter Tony. Time out. All right, 5th graders, back to your outline. Now I want you to do questions 8, 9, and 10. If you need to press pause, do it now. Otherwise, the video starts again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Game on!
All right, thank you, Firefighter Tony. Now, next thing we want to talk about is a very important thing that's getting talked about all across the nation, and it's called close before you doze. Now, close before you doze is pretty easy. All we got to do is close the door before we go to bed. Now, why is that important? Well, earlier you talked about a superhero and maybe one of them carried a shield. So an example would be Captain America. He carries a shield. Well, what does a shield do for you? A shield is supposed to protect you. Okay, you can use it to defend against things, and in this case, it's no different with the door. In a house fire, that door can act like a shield to any fire that's outside of your room. A lot of fires start in the kitchen or in the furnace room. So if we have a fire that starts outside of the bedroom, that door will act like a shield and protect you, but only if it is closed. So at night, we gotta close that door before we go to bed. Now, I'd be willing to bet that a lot of you don't like that idea. How many of you currently sleep with your door closed? Go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, hands down. How many of you currently sleep with your door open? Raise your hand. Well, if you sleep with that door open, we need to talk about closing before you doze. I understand that it can be a little bit scary. Okay, I had 3rd graders come through the house, like I said before, and they didn't necessarily like going to bed with the door closed either. However, the deal that I made with them, because this is so important, is that I would let them fall asleep with the door open, but before I went to bed, I would go and close that door before I went to sleep. So we knew that that door would act like a shield in the case of a fire. It can be a 900-degree difference. So you can have 100 degrees on this side of the door or 1,000 degrees on this side of the door. Which side of the door do you want to be on? You want to be on the 100-degree side. So we want to make sure that we close that door because it only works if the door is closed, and we want to close before we doze. We want to close before we doze. Now say it with me. Close before we doze. Do the funny little hand thing. Close before we doze. You're going to close, doze. Close, doze. I beat you that time. Now, please have a discussion with your parents tonight about closing that door before you go to bed. And we're going to send it back out to Firefighter Tony to show you why it's important to close before you doze with that door being a shield.
All right, so you might wonder why we're standing out here at our training grounds with a door with smoke and stuff going above it. But what I wanted to do is take some time to prove to you that close before you doze works. Your door will act like a shield if there's a fire outside of your room as long as it is closed. It can be a 900-degree difference. On the clean side of the door, it could be as little as 100 degrees. On the other side of the door, it could be upwards of 1,000 degrees. Now, the other thing it'll do is it'll act like a filter. You'll see a lot of smoke kind of coming up towards the top of the door, and there's not much through the middle. So it'll act like a filter as long as the door is closed. Now, we've been taking a blowtorch to this door for quite a while now to make sure that it's good and hot, and it's still really clean on this side. I want you to be on the clean side of the door. The door will only act like a shield as long as it is closed. I want you on this side of the door. I do not want you on this side of the door. Timeout. All right, fifth graders, last two questions. Numbers 11 and 12 on your outline. If you need to press pause, do it now. Otherwise, the video is going to start again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Game on! Oh, you guys caught me. So, I'm going to talk to you about your homework. If you guys do your homework that your parents are sending home with you, or you do it online, you will be entered into a raffle to win this scooter, electric scooter, and a helmet to go with it, because you always got to have a brain bucket on. Now, promise me you won't tell the chief that I was riding inside next to his office. Get your homework done so you can win the scooter.